Question 20. We should accept the proposal to demolish the old train station because the local historical society which vehemently opposes this is dominated by people who have no commitment to long-term economic well-being. Preserving old buildings creates an impediment to new development, which is critical to economic health. So, argument or facts, clearly we have an argument. The conclusion of this passage, the point this author is trying to get across to you is that we should accept the proposal to demolish the old train station. And why should we accept this proposal? Because the historical society which opposes it is dominated by people who have no commitment to long-term economic well-being, because preserving old buildings creates an impediment to new development, which is critical to economic health. Good or bad argument? Clearly this is a flawed argument. You notice the problem with this argument is that it is attacking the people behind a position rather than addressing that position itself. Their position is that we should not demolish the whole train station. The passage tells us we should accept the proposal to demolish it because the people who oppose it have no commitment to long-term economic well-being. So you notice attacking the people as opposed to the issue, which is whether or not we should demolish this old train station. So an ad hominem attack or personal attack, where those in favor of the proposal to demolish the old train station are dismissing the opposing opinion that we shouldn't demolish this old train station. Again, an opinion held by the local historical society. And why are we dismissing it? Not because there's an issue with this claim, it's because these people who oppose it have no commitment to long-term economic well-being. So you notice they're taking issue with those in support of the opposing position as opposed to the opposing position itself. So an ad hominem attack. As we turn our attention to the question stem, the flawed reasoning exhibited by the argument above is most similar to that exhibited by which one of the following arguments? And again, you notice flawed reasoning most similar to that exhibited by which one of the following arguments? This is a flawed parallel reasoning question, asking us to identify the answer choice that contains the exact same flawed reasoning pattern that we saw in the passage. So for these question types, it's impossible for you to find the correct answer unless you can identify what the flaw in the passage was. Here we clearly identified that this is an ad hominem attack, taking issue with the supporters of the opposing position, the idea not to demolish the old train station, as opposed to addressing that idea itself. So let's go find an answer choice that has that exact same flaw. As we take a look at A. Our country should attempt to safeguard works of art that it deems to possess national cultural significance. These works might not be recognized as such by all taxpayers or even all critics. Nevertheless, our country ought to expend whatever money is needed to procure all such works as they become available. And you notice clearly A does not deal with an ad hominem attack, so A would be eliminated. Moving to B. Documents of importance to local heritage should be properly preserved and archived for the sake of future generations. For, if even one of these documents is damaged or lost, the integrity of the historical record as a whole will be damaged. And again, you notice no issue with those in favor of the opposing position, no ad hominem attack, so B cannot follow and B would be eliminated. Which brings us to C. You should have your hair cut no more than once a month. After all, beauticians suggest that their customers have their hair cut twice a month, and they do this as a way of generating more business for themselves. So you notice the conclusion here is that you should have your hair cut no more than once a month. And how do we know that? Well, those who tell you to get your hair cut twice a month are beauticians, and they're saying this as a way of generating more business for themselves. So you notice C has the exact same flaw that we saw in the passage, taking issue with those in opposition of the position, which is getting your hair cut no more than once a month. The people who think differently are beauticians. They say have it cut twice a month, but they're clearly biased because they're trying to generate more business. So C is the exact same structure that we saw in the passage, flawed argument, taking issue with those in support of the opposing position as opposed to addressing the issue itself. But again, just making sure, checking D, the committee should endorse the plan to postpone construction of the new expressway. Many residents of the neighborhoods that would be affected are fervently opposed to that construction, and the committee is obligated to avoid alienating those residents. Again, clearly no ad hominem attack, so D would be out. And then lastly, E, one should not borrow even small amounts of money unless it is absolutely necessary. Once one borrows a few dollars, the interest starts to accumulate. The longer one takes to repay, the more one ends up owing, and eventually a small debt has become a large one. And again, clearly not the flaw that we saw in the passage. And you notice again, with these flawed parallel reasoning questions, it's imperative for you to be able to identify what the flaw is in the passage before proceeding, because how could you go find an answer choice that has that exact same flaw unless you have identified what that flaw is?